So just to get the ball rolling, I'd like to ask our speakers the first question of today, and that is, in these straitened economic times, why should companies be looking at greening their workplace? Is that going to be the biggest priority for them? So maybe I could start by asking that question of Ben, please.
Thanks very much. So I think there's a couple of things. First of all, I think it's worth really tapping into what's the sort of the priorities that your organisation is trying to face at the moment. So is it looking to grow business with your customers, tapping into what matters to them and showing common areas of that you can actually be helping your customers on this agenda? Is it the cost-cutting side, using that language of looking at driving out efficiencies and so on and so forth? I think they're the other areas that. So I think it's about trying to find, what's the language which your organisation is using at the moment, and trying to reflect that into the agenda. There are many different ways, I think, because there are so many benefits of looking at the sustainability agenda that you can tap into that. So I think it's mirroring that language. I think is would be my sort of top tip.
Great. And Max?
Right, well, I should probably explain that I wasn't meant to be a business person really, so I now run a very small business, and I found this one of the most difficult parts, is that I'd love to be 100% green and not boil the kettle to make tea, cold tea is rubbish, to use no energy, but unfortunately in the workshop the angle grinder needs power, so it's a constant conflict of kind of making money versus saving the planet, and yeah, it's a very hard balance to get right. I don't think as an MD or whatever I'm supposed to be in charge of something, you're ever going to get that balance 100%. So I really sympathise with the bigger companies where its profit is the key purpose for a business to exist ultimately, I guess. And for the MD to sacrifice some of that profit in order to make the right decision on a social level, I think is a very hard decision. I think your comment about it being, if it's financially a benefit as well to go green, then that's the ultimate solution, I think, and it works for everybody.
Absolutely, and presumably part of looking after that bottom line is to consider the resources that you're needing to buy in as a business, and maybe looking at reusing resources as much as possible.
Well, bizarrely, we still generate waste. For example, if we make 2 chairs out of a bathtub, that doesn't make sense probably, but if you look at the website you'll see them. We still have an offcut of cast iron, which can still be then recycled as well. So although we take waste in to turn into furniture, we still have waste going out as well, so we have to ensure that that's recycled in the correct manner.
Excellent, thanks Max. Paul, maybe I can ask you to comment, please.
Yes, I think from my point of view, obviously we focus a lot on energy reduction in small companies, and I think particularly with energy, because it's something you can't see, people just accept it. It's a cost that's there. The bills get paid, and people don't really stop to think about it in the way they may about even sort of paper and other areas of waste. So actually, the simple things that you can do, often in the first stages, don't really cost anything, and just getting people to think about it means that you can start making savings straight away. There isn't any cost to you, and then once you start making some savings, then you can start thinking, well, actually, there might be more things we can do. And then you can actually, the lower cost things that you can invest in.
And Paul, what would you say is a typical payback time for anyone looking to cut their energy bill, if they were to start making some practical steps to reduce their energy consumption? What sort of is a typical payback for, say, a small business?
Well, I'd start by saying immediate payback, because if you start switching things off, switching the computer and monitor off at night, the lights off when you're not using them, open the blinds, all of those sort of things, there's no cost at all, so the payback is immediate. Beyond that, if you're looking at lighting controls or more efficient equipment, then often it will be, well, there's still often sort of maintenance type things, can be sort of 6 months to a year. Other more control type aspects might be a couple of years. But there's a whole spectrum, and often you can start with the quick wins, make some early savings, and then reinvest that.
Excellent, thank you. And Amy, could I ask you just to make a comment on this first question, please?
Well, I think I would echo what everyone else has said, which is it is harder in this environment, but people are often looking for quicker payback periods as a result. But it doesn't mean that many of the people that I've spoken to who've made massive changes in their companies often started by just addressing one small issue. So, for example, being really fed up about not having proper crockery in the kitchen and all the takeaway plates and cups being disposed of. And one of the people I spoke to, it started by introducing crockery, and that started this massive sort of green tidal wave, and her company ended up becoming the biggest solar power installation in its area, because everyone went, wow, that's really good, and then what else can we do? So I think I would always want to say, while times are tough and people are really wanting that business case, they want to know why it's going to benefit the company, don't mean that you should be shy not to try and change things and not to try and suggest ideas. And if you keep looking, often you can find a way to make a really good sort of environmental or social benefit, which also does save money.
Excellent, thank you. Yes, Ben?
Just to build on that point, some of the businesses we've been working with actually found that the recession has actually helped to get this on the agenda. So for example, I work with O2. O2 are driven by customer insight. So if it's not something that's of importance to their customers, that's a really key thing for them. And so actually, because the recession comes through really loud and clear, it's really important to the consumers, is that it actually really resonated. So actually taking offers to consumers which helps them save money, actually puts money in their back pocket, whether it's through recycling or phone, engages people within O2 because they can see it's delivering for their customers. So I think, again, this is an actual way, it's about trying to mirror those issues and show that you're actually really tuned into that.
Absolutely. So it is perhaps indicative that we are at a tipping point, and companies are probably more open to considering changes in their environmental behaviour now than ever before. Do we have any questions from the floor, please? I just need to come with the mic.